Yo, yo, yo. Hold on. Because I don't want to hear myself for real. So what I do is maybe make sure that I can't hear it by changing that to just, purely microphone sound. All right, cool. What up, though? This is another episode of the usual Henspect. It's going to be a follow-up of the game with the Washington Wizards and leading into the second half of, the back-to-back nights of NBA basketball for the Detroit Pistons. And I just want to make sure that, because it's an introduction to our new acquisitions. And, just a continuation of the last bit of conversation we was having, the type of spacing we don't want, the level of confusion that we go to, defeat in our being together, our togetherness, right? And just, the rhythm that being able to play defense creates for us. You see that we'll fight, and we'll always have a chance. So, that's not ever going to be an issue. And it's going to be a perfect opportunity to put what should be learned. And I would say if you want to completely sync up with what I'm saying as far as understanding, Huter and Sark, watch the NBA version of the highlights and, just look for the things that I'm going to speak on in a second. For what it is, that way you could catch up with me and then, just being here to help you. So yeah, first things first, just the type of angles that could be created when attacking from the wings when it comes to making yourself available for one of the guys when you come in the game, right? If you're able to, kind of create that space to be filled back in, if you could cause the bit of the distraction going towards the rim as the first person to attack from a wing, maybe only going as far as the alley, right? And, from the wing to the front door and then down the alley. The way that you kind of get passed through the defense cause an opportunity for his ball handler to the same side or, go to replace you in that space and receive a pass, kind of that funnel effect. And, that could just be some action in regards to maybe being out of position that you can get out the way, but having that pattern as your pattern, right? And just being able to, be of assistance in your movement on the court, right? The type of spacing that wasn't there during the game, sometimes that causes whoever's handling the ball to be more aggressive and just have to score it. But if there is a missed shot, the rotations back to have enough defenders against the fast break becomes an issue. And then, again, just some of the communication that would need to occur because in attacking those alleys, it creates a dilemma for the help defense. Do they stand there and be an additional deterrent of taking that path to score the basketball or get closer to the rim? Or do they open it up and go towards the guy that more than likely is in the corner or on the wing and try to prevent a long-range bomb, right? So maybe if you can see that, that'd be good. And then also if you utilize it as an offensive, contribution to a play, that you can understand the type of bag of moves that you can use to score the ball if you get it right, or if you already have the ball, what those patterns look like. You understand, you should be able to see the spacing that doesn't quite occur, but the movement and the ball swinging that comes from, attacking that, especially if there's a particular matchup that's working in our favor, right? And we do have to, almost like cheese it as much as we can while we can, right? Forcing the other team to make an adjustment to something that's working, that's something to keep in mind. And then, and how it is that our defensive intensity tends to, be what drives us. Those sort of, tinges about us, even though you may see it from the outside. You got kind of, firsthand experience today in a way that, we go to make sure it doesn't completely look like, but when we get into those dog fights, we can make anything work. So understand just that's a part of our hustle as well. And yeah, it's good to be on the same page. It was something that was a bit of a wrinkle in what we do. So now with that being understood is a way to contribute and what to look for, not to contribute to. So, the good and bad out of it. You could get the contrast because it's a back-to-back. So it's a flood of experience, what it looks like when we do have our space and the things of that nature. And it's going to be against the Knicks, which is a matchup for us. The Knicks are, back to form after a little bit of the drought after the Emirates Cup championship, right? I feel like it was just a little bit of a hangover from that success. That you get a chance to find a rhythm and fall into the placement that we have, right, on the court, and with what we what our responsibilities are. So that was pretty much it as far as the last game. I'm gonna mix into it against the New York Knicks. It's a matchup we want to win every single time, regardless of what they're doing on that end. We know that it's going to be tough. We know that they're going to get buckets. We want to make it as difficult as possible. And I guess not get to the point of having to shoot bailout 3-pointers because, you pretty much have to be hot. Unless you got a team full of shooters, but then something else will lack. And, we get ours off defense. We catch that rhythm and we go. We got our shooters. If that becomes a responsibility of yours, you see how it is that we will emphasize the teamwork to get the looks. That this is a matchup that we like to be completely firing on all cylinders, or use the game to get into a rhythm to be firing on all cylinders. Like it's just a great matchup. It is just a great matchup. So, you get the back-to-back opportunity for that. And, it's flooding you, but be able to handle it. Like I was saying, nothing comes easy. And, that's what it looks like when we make it hard. But we make it hard on ourselves. It's kind of the emphasis on it. We make it hard ourselves. So I make sure I drop the post to inform everybody to, open it back up. I feel like the point was well proven. And even then, it was a fight pretty much to the end, right? Shout out to Washington for, hitting your shots, man. That was a great game shooting wise. And that's it for this episode of the Usual Him Spec. Looking forward to the next game. I make sure I make my post and be thorough with the instruction on how to open the floor back up. That should have been a good kind of tutorial of how to attack from that wing and from the corner using the alley and front door and the back door. What type of, passing lanes it creates for a cutter, and you can utilize those passing lanes. And then also when you look at it, how it kind of hurts the defense with the angles that they could take. And, if a team is trying to use those type of things, what to look out for, and it's going to be the angles. So, take that with, a healthy gulp of something good, maybe with a vitamin, right? And welcome to the team. Sark and Huter. Look forward to seeing you all on the court. And this is the end of this episode. I'll holla.